Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to round 4 of the first ever Legacy of the North Invitational tournament. Here we have player 1, Jim Monolith, one of the people to help make this tournament actually happen, against Justin Lam, good friend of the channel, playing Sneak and Show. Jim playing his signature deck, MUD, and going second, starting with City of Traders into Mox Diamond, discarding another City of Traders, cast a Mishra's Bauble as well, and turn 1 Arcbound Ravager. One of my favorite cards of all time. Going to crack the bauble, check the top of Justin's library. It is an Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. So very good top deck for a show and tell player. So going to Justin's second turn, Jim is going to draw an Urza Saga during Justin's upkeep. Justin's going to draw the Emrakul, Aeon's Torn for the turn. Justin playing show and tell, putting in Gristlebrand against Jim's The One Ring. Jim gonna immediately activate the One Ring. Draw Lodestone Golem. Going to draw for the turn. It is a Foundry Inspector. So hopefully the life totals get updated here. During Jim's main phase, gonna draw 2 more cards. What a fair and balanced card, am I right? It's been on the field for less than 1 turn rotation and it's already drawn 3 cards. So Jim deep in the tank here. Going to tap for 2 mana. Looks like he's going to play a Foundry Inspector. He could play a Lodestone Golem to start taxing Justin's spells. However, he's already cast the Show and Tell, so he just needs to find a way to survive or almost try to outrace this Gristlebrand. But I don't know how you would outrace a Gristlebrand in MUD. Anytime Gristlebrand swings, it's almost like a 14 life point swing. The floating the 3 mana, 2 from the City of Traders, 1 from the Mox Diamond, he will play Wasteland, sacrificing the City of Traders, and then use the 3 mana to play Foundry Inspector. Is he going to Wasteland the Volcanic Island? Okay, so he Wasteland Volcanic Island. Not sure if I 100% agree with that choice. You have a lot of high casting cost cards in your hand already. And I think you could have used the mana. And I don't think Justin will be using it effectively because he already has the Gristlebrand in play. So looks like Justin just went straight into attacks, dropped Jim down to 13. The 13 should be at 12, right? 1 from the One Ring, and then 7 from the Gristlebrand should be 8, so he should be at 12. Okay, so maybe Jim made the right call. There's a sneak attack from Justin. So Justin going to end cleanup phase where he needs to discard down cards. Gonna discard a second sneak attack and probably... Oh, I was gonna say one of the cantrips, like Preordain, but it looks like Justin has no need for the City of Traders. So Jim going to activate the One Ring. Or no, he didn't activate the One Ring. He's going to lose the life at the beginning of his upkeep due to the bird encounters. And then he can activate the ring again during his main phase. So he should be at 10. I'm going to draw Patchwork Automaton for the turn. Going to activate One Ring, draw 3 cards. Urza Saga, Patchwork Automaton, and Mystic Forge. Not a lot that can help him against this Gristlebrand. And even if Jim can deal with the Gristlebrand, there's now sneak attack that he has to deal with. Although there is no red mana. I'm not sure how many Simian Spirit Guides Justin runs, but typically the Sneak and Show list doesn't run too many of them anymore. I'm going to cast Patchwork Automaton for 1 mana because of the Foundry Inspector making it cost 1 less. There's a Gaia's Cradle. So very interesting choice of land here. I've never seen a Gaia's Cradle in a Mud list. This could be a little bit more stompy than it is traditional control Mud, which Jim usually plays. This would normally be a very strong combo, Mystic Forge with Patchwork Automaton. It can grow extremely large. Looks like Justin is going to activate Gristlebrand in response to the Mystic Forge. And he draws a ton of cantrips and Force of Will. I think there was a Daze in there as well. But this Mystic Forge is definitely not resolving. Justin gonna Daze the Mystic Forge. Jim cannot pay the 1 mana. So Justin's sitting on just a ton of resources here. He does play multiple Simian Spirit Guides. That is now confirmed. And looks like Jim's going to go to attackers. Looks like for 4 damage, he can increase it to 7 if he wants to sack his entire board. I don't think this is comebackable. Justin just has so many resources, and the Gristlebrand, he can't, like, Jim cannot outrace this Gristlebrand. Justin's at the point where he no longer needs to draw cards, and yep, Jim's just going to scoop it up, and Justin will take game 1. We are here starting game 2, Jim presumably on the play after Justin claiming game 1. Jim looking at Urza Saga, Wasteland, Petal, Sphere of Resistance, Thorn of Amethyst, Ancient Tomb, Pithing Needle. Gonna go Ancient Tomb into Lotus Petal. Going to most likely cast a Thorn of Amethyst here. I don't think there's too much of a difference between the Sphere and the Thorn at this point. The main difference would have been if Jim had a creature to cast, but he does not. Thalia is, sorry, not Thalia. Thorn of Amethyst is like a Thalia where it taxes non-creature spells. So Justin keeping a hand full of cantrips. Not full of cantrips, but he has Brainstorm Ponder, Sneak Attack, and it looks like there's a Brotherhood's End in there. Jim gonna play Urza Saga and draws a City of Traders for the turn. Going to tap 3 mana for the Sphere of Resistance. So we're going to play old school style Mud here. Just gonna tax the crap out of your opponent. Alright, Justin top decks Lotus Petal. Not what you want to see. You don't want your mana accelerants costing you mana here. But he might need to, if he really wants to play it, he'll need to crack both fetches to cast the Lotus Petal. Alright, so he is going to crack both. Most likely going to cast the Lotus Petal because there's no reason otherwise. Wow, searching out double Volcanic Island. Oh, right. Facing down against a Mud deck. I'm not sure I would search out Volcanic Island. I guess because he has the Brotherhood End, he's really looking to get his red sources out, but you have 1 fetch. I guess because you have to crack both fetches, you have to make the decision to get double red. But if you get 1 Volcanic Island, it's debatable. Alright, there's a Wasteland from Jim. I guess it is the right call to try and just force your opponent. Oh, you cannot play the City of Traders. He played the Wasteland already. There he is, owning up to his mistakes there. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I think Justin made the correct call to fetch for the double Volcanics. You have to force Jim to have the Wasteland, because if he doesn't, then you can cast the Brotherhood End. Unluckily, Justin draws the Simian Spirit Guide. So he could have fetched for a basic island. However, it is lucky because he essentially has a source of mana that doesn't, like an additional source of mana that doesn't cost, or that doesn't get taxed by Jim's Mud pieces or stacked pieces. I'm gonna make a construct here, so there's a reliable beatdown strategy. Construct is a 4/4 at the moment. I'm gonna draw for turn. It is a lodestone golem. So is he gonna make another construct? If he makes another construct, he could be threatening a huge board, and he's not aware of Justin's Brotherhood's End. It looks like he's actually going to make mana with the Urza Saga. So because Jim drew the City of Traders, he doesn't need to crack the Lotus Petal. I guess that's why he floated the mana instead of making another construct. So he's opting to play the Lodestone Golem over the construct. Or making another construct. So if he can tap this the Ancient Tomb and use the mana from the Urza Saga, play the City of Traders. That's 5 mana for our Lodestone Golem. So he is taxed by his own Sphere of Resistance here. Justin aiming to just slam a Brotherhood End. Against Jim's board, it would wipe out everything except for a Lodestone Golem if Jim is trying to play that. Justin has red from the Simian Spirit Guide, red from the Volcanic Island, Otawara, so that's 3, Lotus Petal is 4, and then City of Traders would be 5, 6. So if Jim plays the Lodestone Golem, it would make everything cost 3 more for Justin. So he can still play the Brotherhood End through the Lodestone Golem. There's a Mox Opal. Interesting. Going to cat. Yep. So Jim plays the Lodestone Golem. So everything's gonna Justin's Brotherhood's End is now going to cost 6. So it's going to take all of his resources to cast it, but I think it's worth it because he'll only be looking down a Lodestone Golem instead of 3 stacks pieces and a construct. Not to mention Jim's own fast mana from Lotus Petal and Mox Opal. Okay, so Jim gonna swing for 6 here. Drops Justin down to 12. Jim passing the turn. Justin gonna top deck Polluted Delta. So I don't think he can wait another turn here. He still wants to have a life to be able to activate a Gristlebrand if he is able to top deck it, because he can sneak attack and then Gristlebrand. So Justin using a die to confirm the tax amount. Just making sure, double checking his math here. So there's the Simian Spirit Guide. So cracking everything for 6 mana to cast this Brotherhood's End. It's going to destroy all artifacts that cost 3 or less. So Justin now in a pretty good position. Even though the Lodestone Golem survives, his Brainstorm and Ponders cost 2. So he might be able to dig out of this. Because he does have a sneak attack. He can cast a sneak attack next turn. I'm looking at Manifold Key, Pithing Needle. Okay, so Pithing Needle, most likely going to name sneak attack. That's probably why he searched for the Mox Opal. He doesn't play multiple Pithing Needles. Manifold Key also comes down, and there's going to be a Wasteland taking out the red source. So Jim having all the answers to slow Justin down. So Pithing Needle has named sneak attack. Justin top decks Island. Gonna tap for 3 mana, floating 1. Gonna cast a Brainstorm. Drawing Lotus Petal, Blood Moon, Brainstorm. Okay, so he's gonna push away the sneak attack and the Blood Moon. Gonna play a Polluted Delta, lose the City of Traders, and then cast a Lotus Petal with the 1 floating mana remaining from the Brainstorm cast. Searching for a Volcanic Island. So Jim no longer has any cards in hand, so he's playing off the top. Justin has a Ponder that he can start playing next turn, but he is facing down a Lodestone Golem that will kill him in 2 turns. Wait, doesn't Justin need to pay 2 mana for that? Did I miscount? Brainstorm and City of Trader, or Otawara City of Traders was 3 mana. Used 2 of it to cast the Brainstorm. So you had 1 floating. Cast the Lotus Petal, which... Oh, Lodestone is non-artifact only, so he still had the 1 floating mana from the Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal is not taxed, so he used the 1 floating mana to cast the Ponder. Alright, sorry about that, guys. That was my mistake. So Jim drew for turn, Justin at 1. Plays a Grim Monolith, passes the turn. Can Justin get out of this? He tops like Sneak Attack. Not where you want to be. There's a Brainstorm. Force of Will, attracts a Petal, and that's going to be the game. So Jim crawls back from a Brotherhood's end, destroying almost his entire board, but the Lodestone Golem gets him there. Justin won game 1. Jim won game 2. We are now starting game 3. Justin presumably on the play. Justin immediately going to ship it. Jim looking at... Whoa, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Wasteland, Urza Saga, Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void, Grim Monolith, and I think that's a Sculpting Steel, and then the middle card, I think might be the Scarab Swarm from the Warhammer commander decks. I think it's Canoptic Scarab Swarm. Just looking at Sneak Attack, Lotus Petal, Volcanic Island, Ponder, Misty Rainforest, Force of Will, Simian Spear Guide. He's going to pitch the Simian Spear Guide. Going to start off with Misty Rainforest and crack it. Knowing Justin's pattern, he's probably just going to go for... Whoa, he goes for an island. All right. He's now respecting the Wastelands. So yes, the name of the Warhammer card is Canoptic Scarab Swarm. Justin going to cast a Ponder. So there is no blue card in Justin's hand for a Force of Will. I think that's how he's going to stack his decks to make sure he has a Brainstorm to pitch to it. And he's going to keep the basic island on the top as well. There's a Lotus Petal. Jim draws another Canoptic Scarab Swarm. Not sure how many he's playing. Plays the Ancient Tomb for turn. Going to be Chalice on 1, I suspect. Goes down to 18. Gonna see the Chalice on 1. Is Justin gonna contest this? I don't think he is, because he has an island coming off the top and then into an Emrakul. So I think Justin's plan is just to slam a Sneak Attack as fast as possible. Plays the island that we knew was there. Passes a turn. Jim gonna draw for turn. Is that a Tangle Wire? I think that's a Tangle Wire. Jim gonna play Urza's Saga for the turn. I'm not sure exactly what he wants to be doing. I think it's the Tangle Wire, no? Okay, so he opts to play the Grim Monolith. So he's just gonna put mana out there. Tapping the Grim Monolith. Plays Tangle Wire. So there's a Force of Will from Justin. So that's what he chooses to fight over, which was a pretty good pick. There's an Emrakul. Going to play Sneak Attack and pass the turn. So he does have the red source, but Jim luckily has a Wasteland in hand. So can Justin find a red source off the top? Jim finds the One Ring. So I think Jim needs to play the Wasteland here. Yeah, and I would immediately remove the Volcanic Island. If he doesn't remove the Volcanic Island, then he's basically playing a 50-50 on whether or not Justin has a threat. He doesn't have a solution to the sneak attack, so I wouldn't risk it. However, he is in the tank, so I think he might be considering not blowing it up. Oh, okay, he blows it up. Good, good, good. And now Jim can just make a construct. What is he considering playing? Is he considering playing the Sculpting Steel? I think he should just make a construct at the end of Justin's turn. If he doesn't find a... So, he finds the Misty Rainforest. Oh my god, he finds the red source. Justin goes down to 17, finds a Volcanic Island, and he's able to put an Emrakul into play. Wow. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty fast game 3 here. Justin going to activate the sneak attack, put in an Emrakul, Annihilator 6 Jim, which makes him sack all of his permanents, and Jim will go down to 1 life. However, Justin now, handless as well, has no graveyard due to the Emrakul sacrifice and death trigger. So Jim has Sculpting Steel, 2 of the Canoptic Scarab Swarms, and then a 1 ring. Draws a Patrick Automaton for the turn. So Justin sitting pretty comfortably here, has a 16-point life lead, and has a live sneak attack. So all he needs to draw is a threat. Jim now they're just passing back and forth. Justin finds City of Traders into Misty Rainforest. Jim finds Lodestone Golem into Thorn of Amethyst. Wow, Justin finding a 3rd land in a row. Jim finds Mishra's Bauble, gives him a little bit of extra draw power. Jack gets to see what's coming off the top. Justin reveals what looks to be a Brotherhood's End. Okay, so Justin gonna shuffle away the Brotherhood's End. Goes down to 16. Jim waiting to draw off of the Mishra's Bauble trigger on Justin's upkeep. So Jim draws another Lodestone Golem. Justin finds a 4th land! Wow, that's very unlucky. Jim finds an Urza Saga, finds a source of mana here. Wow, this is lasting way longer than it should be because Justin's deck full of cantrips should be able to find him any sort of threat. Justin finds a Force of Will off the top, not going to help in this situation, but he can hard counter anything. Jim going to draw for turn. It is a Foundry Inspector, so not another source of mana. Going to discard. Well, he's considering another Lodestone Golem. Oh, discards Thorn of Amethyst instead. Passes the turn. Justin finds another sneak attack. He is not finding anything here. He just needs to find any sort of threat or a cantrip to help him dig. Or Jim finds State of Traders off the top. That's big. Alright, so Jim's going to float 1 mana off of the Urza Saga. Can he find any source of mana here? There's a Pithing Needle named Sneak Attack! Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have a game. Jim here at 1 life. Justin with the most unluckiest of draws not finding a single cantrip or a threat in 5 turns. Jim gonna play City of Traders into Foundry Inspector using the 1 floating mana from the Urza Saga. There's a hard cast Force of Will from Justin, going down to 15. So Justin trying to stop Jim from getting any sort of momentum. Justin doesn't need to lose 1 life from the Force of Will, but he doesn't want to lose 1 life for cracking the fetch. Justin finally finds a cantrip off the top. There's a Ponder. Can he find a way to deal with a Pithing Needle? He finds an Emrakul, but then he sees Lotus Petal, Flooded Strand. So he can draw the Emrakul. Does he have a fetch line? He has a Scalding Tarn to shuffle away the other 2 cards because they're very useless here. Jim draws a Swamp. Looks like a Swamp. I was unaware Mud decks played any colors whatsoever. Jim passing the turn. The value is the City of Traders over anything. Justin gonna crack the fetch to shuffle away the Lotus Petal and the Flooded Strand that he does not want. So Justin having so much mana here, he just needs to find a way to deal with this Pithing Needle, or if he can find another Show and Tell. So he finds a Lotus Petal off the top. Jim draws a card for turn. It is a 3rd Canoptic Scarab Swarm. Card isn't doing much in Jim's hand. Gonna cast a Patchwork Automaton. Gonna pass the turn. Justin draws a Daze off of the top. Jim gonna draw for his turn. Cast Grim Monolith. Gives him more mana. There's a Daze from Justin. Gonna counter the Grim Monolith. So Jim attacks with the Automaton. Justin draws for his turn. Gonna cast a Ponder, sees Brainstorm, Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell. So there's a Show and Tell. About time. And looks like he's just gonna Windmill Slam it. So Jim looking to play this Canoptic Scarab Swarm. It enters the battlefield. He's gonna exile his entire graveyard. Wow. So every card is a land in an artifact. So he makes 12 1/1 flyers. So if you guys don't know, the Canoptic Scarab Swarm is a 4 mana 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile target player's graveyard, so he targeted himself. And for each artifact or land card exiled this way, you create a 1/1 insect artifact with flying. Wow, Jim crawls back from 1 life. Justin hitting a series of unfortunate draws of just land and counter magic. Jim gonna slam down a second, the Sculpting Steel, copying the Canoptic Scarab Swarm, exiling Justin's graveyard. Gonna make 3 more or 4 more. Just a bunch more insects. And he's just gonna take Justin out. Oh my god, what a comeback. Jim takes it over Justin in 3. Can't get more exciting than that.